Look, what are the worst or more importantly, the best cards in Pool 1? Well, I've got you covered as today we'll be ranking every single starter and Pool 1 card in Marvel Snap from best to worst. We've got a lot to go through. Let's waste no time and jump into it. Now look, I wanted to avoid this list just being my sole opinion, so I connected with some of my fellow content creators and other well-respected members in the Snap community. We took the overall average ranking for each card and here we go. This tier list is just in the context of Pool 1. We're not going to worry about Pool 2 or 3, and we're going to start with the 1-cost cards and work our way up. All right, let's kick off the tier list in the 1-cost cards with Angel. Now, he'll be a lot better in Pool 1 than in later pools, but he'll be in C tier because the lack of options for destroy decks. Ant-Man, S tier. Can fit into legit any deck even beyond Pool 1. He is a top tier Pool 1 card at 1 energy, 4 power value. That is an absolutely insane stat line for a 1-cost card. Blade, B tier. Now, a 1/3 is pretty dang rare and powerful, but I swear that Blade has it out for me. Like, does anyone else suffer from him just getting rid of your best cards? Elektra, A tier. Can be nice to counter Ant-Man and some of the other strong 1-cost cards, but she's going to be an A tier for Pool 1, but moves down swiftly to C tier in later pools. Hawkeye, B tier. You could be okay as a potential 1/3, but you're going to need a little bit of RNG or luck when you pull him, as pulling him in the later rounds is absolutely brutal. Iron Fist, B tier. Now, move decks aren't that great, but he can get you into some tough-to-reach locations, and you can have some decent synergy with move decks. Look, I'm the president and the CEO of Korg and the S tier fan club, but when we get all the creators together, he's going to be average in the A tier. I think Korg is one of the best, if not the best, 1-cost card if you can play him early. Now, a fun fact is, if you can play him on turn 1, you give your opponent a 55% chance to draw a rock. Turn 2 is going to be a 44% chance. So if you can play him early, phenomenal value. Mantis, C tier. So she doesn't really fit into many decks, but the best part about her is if you manage to guess correctly, you steal one of your opponent's cards and they don't get to see which one. It can be strong, but a gamble. Misty Knight, F tier. Terrible. Don't use her. My boy, Nightcrawler, A tier. One of my favorites, Nightcrawler can be ridiculously clutch. If you play him with Angela, you can give great value. You can also get him to hard-to-reach locations, and he's a super safe play turn 1, as you can move him to another location. Nova is going to be going in the B tier. I like him a lot. Zoo decks are all over in Pool 1, so you can boost up a lot of different cards. He used to be insanely powerful in the beta. They toned him back a little bit, but still very solid, especially with Carnage. Quicksilver, F tier. Just stop using him when you can. There's much better 1-cost cards now and even down the line. He's going to work best when you're only running one 1-cost card. Rocket Raccoon, A tier. Just absolutely free dopamine if you guess correctly. A 1/4 is absolutely insane for value, and if you're a good mind reader, then you definitely want to try running him in your decks. Squirrel Girl, B tier. I'm a big fan of Miss SG here. She's great in zoo decks, good to reach hard locations. She does fill up the board, and sometimes she can kind of screw you. But with Carnage and a lot of different options, she's going to be great. I have her in A tier, but the creators have averaged her in B tier. Yondu, C tier. Now, he can be great for sniping American Chavez on turn 5, which is a great tactic to use, and you can see what your opponent's deck is a little bit by the card you destroy. But you're essentially destroying a card that they were never going to get anyway. Good, not great. Angela, S tier. This one's easy. She's overpowered. She's godly. She should be ran in every single one of your decks. No matter, even if you're not in Pool 1, a super strong card and a lane winner. You can set her and forget her. Armor, B tier. Now, she can help you counter destroy decks, but she isn't super important for the meta that you'll be fighting in Pool 1. Cable is going to be in B tier. A, he's one of my favorite X-Men, but B, it can be a lot of fun to use your enemy's cards against them and just pull and see what you get and have access to cards that you haven't unlocked yourself. Now, I will say, if you get their Odin, it's great, and if they're running on reveal, they have no idea that you're about to absolutely clap them, but he's somewhat average. Carnage. Now, I would put him in A tier, but he did average a B tier. Very consistent card. He's awesome to run with zoo decks. He can be great with Nova, obviously, and he's great to just clear up junk from like Savage Land locations. He's going to be much better later on, but still very solid in Pool 1. Colossus, Mr. Consistent. He's going to be a B tier, but he is great for locations. with negative values, no cards, locations. Nothing can change him. He'll be average at B tier. Domino, F tier. Just copy and paste whatever I said for Quicksilver. Forge, C tier. Now, he can be nice with Mr. Sinister or in some move decks with some cheeky combos, but outside of that, there's better options. Kraven is also C tier. He can scale nicely in some move decks, but he's very situational at best. All right, so we've got Lizard in the B tier. Now, this is one of the most controversial cards, I would say, in Pool 1 amongst the creators. I would have him in A tier. I like that you force your opponents to kind of play a lane and fill it up with 4, and you can counterbalance him with someone like Punisher. However, with all the Zoo decks out there, he's more often than not going to get the ongoing negative bonus of -3 power. Medusa, B tier. She's actually solid early on, but after Pool 1, she falls off hard. Mr. Sinister. Now, early on, a lot of new players think he's absolutely great, but he does take up 2 spots. Now, if you can run him with Carnage or maybe Forge, you can make him work, but good, not great as well. Multiple Man, C tier. Now, he is a super fun card, and he can be crazy, but most of the time, he's going to fall short. Scarlet Witch is going to be in the A tier. Very strong ability, can get you out of a lot of situations, both negatively for yourself, but you can also switch things up on your opponent and throw them off massively. Where is my X-Men animated series fans at? Let's rank Sentinel in the A tier. Now, he gets a lot worse later on, but it's nice to always have a card to play, which can't be overlooked. Look, let's rip the band-aid off, okay? We're going to put Cyclops and Shocker in the F tier. I don't know what it is. They've got the coolest animations in the game, but they're just not good at all. You will see them again with a Patriot deck in Pool 3, but Pool 1, avoid them. Star-Lord, easy S tier, or his voice line. He will be a B tier. He's got a solid ability and very similar to Rocket Raccoon. Wolverine, he needs a rework desperately. He'll be in the C tier. He's just not a great card in Pool 1 or even in Pool 2 or 3 as well. Hey, right now, comment down below. Hashtag buff Wolverine. Next up, Bishop in the A tier. Insanely strong card that synergizes with just about every single deck. If you play him on turn 3, you're going to end up with some great value, and overall, you want to pair him with Angela to set and forget on one location. Captain America. Sadly, America's ass has no justice. If you compare him to Ant-Man, he is a 3-6 compared to Ant-Man at a 1-4. Just doesn't add up in the value. You can use him in Zoo decks. You can use him in ongoing decks early on, but just don't get attached to him. He's not great. Cosmo, B tier. One of the core counter cards that are good to learn early on. And On Reveal is pretty strong in Pool 1. He can shut down Odin and many of the other strong On Reveal cards. Solid B tier. Deathlock, surprisingly C tier. Now, Deathlock is deceivingly not that great, especially when you compare him to the other 3-cost cards. He can be fine if you're kind of forcing a destroy deck in Pool 1, but you want to try to avoid that. Doctor Strange, C tier. Another fun card to play, and you can do some cute things with them, like moving your powerful cards at the end of the game, but just not a good value for a 3-cost card. I Am Groot. Sadly, the C tier. He's like Star-Lord, but a little worse. Hulkbuster, C tier. Can be underrated, and he doesn't take up a space in a location, which is often overlooked. Combine Multiple Man with him. Chef's Kiss. Ironheart, A tier. She's a great card all around and is one of my consistent favorites. Upgrading so many different cards can be so useful. The only thing to look out for with Ironheart is you don't typically get the full value on turn 3 unless you're playing Mr. Sinister or another card that can get multiple cards out there. And so if you play her on turn 4, not as great, but still very solid. Lady Sif, C tier. Now, she just got nerfed in the beta, and that hurt her massively. She can work with Apocalypse, but Pool 1, C tier. Mr. Fantastic is, wait for it, he's fantastic. He's A tier without question, guys. Very solid card, especially in the early Pool 1 days. You won't use him as much in the later pools, so get the most value out of him now in the middle location, or even like Death Domain, you can put him in a far location and still get a couple points. Morph, sadly, is F tier. He's a troll card. If you find yourself liking to play roulette in Vegas, then maybe that's the card for you, but he just doesn't have the value and he can completely flop on you. The Punisher, C tier. Again, pair him up with Lizard for some good combos, but he's lackluster outside of early ongoing decks. Swordmaster, B tier. Great stats and one of the few options that you can use for a discard deck. Wolfsbane, A tier. Just so many combinations can work with her early on. You can run her with ongoing, on reveal, and Zoo decks. Pair her up with people like Ant-Man to get a massive combo on the 4-card drop. Only thing is you do have to play her kind of later or you reveal to your opponent a full location of cards. Enchantress, she can be absolutely the devil. With how strong Ongoing is with Iron Man and Blue Marvel and even Khazar, she's a very strong card to set them all up for failure. If you are running an Ongoing deck, try to spread them out because the first time that you get hit by this devil, it'll be your last. Jessica Jones, A tier. Great card and consistent with solid value. Khazar, S tier. The ultimate Chad. Khazar is a fantastic card in Pool 1. You're going to use him in plenty of decks, and he is a key staple early on. Moon Girl, E tier. Now, she works great with Devil Dinosaur, but often you're not getting as much value as you think. Next up is Namor. He's going to be a little underrated. I've got him in the B tier. He can contest a location all by himself and pair him up with someone like Claw, and you're getting a massive swing. He falls off hard, so use him while you can. Strong Guy, B tier. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, yes, Zoo decks are good, and he's a very solid addition to that deck. Run him with a discard card like Blade for more consistent value, but if you don't get rid of all of your cards, he's very underwhelming. The Thing, F tier. Another vanilla card, no abilities, better options. May I introduce you to Sexy Elsa, B tier for the White Queen. She can get some decent value. She is at a 4/6, and you can get an Iron Man, Odin, Spectrum, and Pool 1. I see a lot of people kind of skip by her, but she can be very, very consistent in winning the late game. Abomination, C tier. Just got a buff, does have better value than most vanilla cards, average overall. Blue Marvel, S tier easily. Fantastic 5-cost card next to Iron Man as one of the best in Pool 1. Useful in so many decks even past this pool. Devil Dinosaur, a lane winner. He's going to get more power the more cards that you have. He did just get a slight nerf, but it kind of helped him out with getting 3 cost for more consistency. He can be a good 5-cost option, and you can run him with Moon Girl for more consistent plays. Gamora, B tier. Huge value if you guess right, and it's much easier to guess in the later turns. You want to say it with me? Here we go. S tier. Double power on a location. Love him 3000. Claw, B tier. Can be super cheeky, and definitely your opponent is never going to expect him. I think he's a little underrated and can be solid in a lot of decks. Professor X. Now, he can be a major gamble, but so damn satisfying if you do guess correctly. He's going to skyrocket in value if you have Daredevil, and without him, it's a lot harder to play him at such a low value. Between the creators, he kind of went up and down throughout the ranks. I love him. Some others don't, but I think he's pretty strong in the B tier. Spider-Woman, B tier. Now, she's much better than she was, and she can be used on some late plays. Again, her biggest harm is that she is a 5-cost, but with On Reveal and Odin, there's some options. White Tiger. Lots of use for her. You know it. It's Odin's best friend. Definitely A tier. America Chavez. Mrs. Consistent. She's going to be in the A tier because of how much value she gives you at a 9 power every single time on turn 6. And I also want to say, if you're trying to set up some early combos before turn 6, can be great because you know you will never pull her. Apocalypse, C tier. Now, there's not a ton of ways to use him early on. He does get better later, so don't worry. But the discard curve in Pool 1 is just awful. Heimdall, also C tier. He can be super clutch outside of move decks, and he can throw off your opponent massively, but it just doesn't bring enough to the table at the end of the game. Hulk Smash. Let's put him in the B tier. He's the strongest of the vanilla cards and is a great way to end turn 6. Odin, the king of Pool 1, one of the better cards and top of the class, easy S tier. Onslaught gets much better later down the line and later in the pools, but a lot harder to make work with the options you have. Try him out with Claw, Blue Marvel, and Khazar to get the most value out of him. And finally, Spectrum. Nobody really expects her, so I think she's pretty solid. I've got her in A, some others have her in B, but I find her pretty consistent if you can kind of make an ongoing deck for her to fit in. And there you have it. We ranked every single Pool 1 card in the context of only Pool 1. I want to give another huge shout out to all of the creators that I reached out to, and you can see all of their rankings right here if you want to go ahead and pause this screen, or you can join my Discord to go ahead and find this graphic in there to see exactly what each creator ranked each card. Oh man, am I ready for the opinions. Now remember, this is just an opinionated tier list. If you find cards work for you, then awesome. Use them to your heart's delight. And I want you to comment down below, what do you agree with? What do you massively disagree with? Would love to hear all thoughts, but let's be somewhat respectful. Unless you think Misty Knight is in the S tier, then, probably best not to comment. Thank you so much to TLSG, TALKWYN, and BYNXPLAYS for all of the input. Awesome guys. I'll put their stuff down in the description to go follow their channels as well. If you want me to keep up with the pool tier list, we can do another one with creators for pool 2. Guys, if you haven't already, like the video to help spread it to other players, and subscribe to the Cozy Club to not miss the next video that we have coming out. It's going to be a juicy one.